Let's talk a bit about accountability in this first story. We tell you that Senator Francis Fadahunsi has been summoned by the police over alleged threats against members of the Accord party. The coming Saturday's governorship election in Osun State has been marked by concern following a circulating video of Senator Fadahunsi in which he reportedly stated that any Accord members cited in Elisha before Saturday's election would be killed. The command spokesman, Abiodun Ojelabi, confirmed during a telephone interview that the lawmaker was summoned by the Commissioner of Police in charge of the election. The Osun State governor said the situation surrounding Senator Fadahunsi's controversial speech is beyond politics and requires national security attention. Now, the political atmosphere is building up in Osun State as supporters of the All Progressives Congress, APC, under the banner of the Hope Ambassadors, take to the streets in what they have tagged a walk for victory. The procession began from Ayetoro and is heading towards the APC campaign house in Osogbo, with party leaders leading the walk. News Central's correspondent Igbalani Omoni has been following the development and joins us live now from Osun State, Osogbo to be precise. Ni, what is the situation on ground? The atmosphere is heated and we've been seeing a lot of drama leading up to this election. Where has this particular procession gotten to?
Well, the procession had ended at the APC campaign house, just as you can see right behind me here. About an hour ago, this place was quite congested with people, party stalwart leaders, stakeholders across various areas converge on Osogbo here. The walk started at about 7 a.m. this morning, and everyone trooped out to the Ayetoro area of Osogbo and walked down. That's over 4 kilometers, walked down to this campaign house. And after a few talks, just chants, songs, they dispersed. But I'd like to speak with the people that I'll understand what exactly was this renewed Hope Ambassadors Walk for Victory. What does it signify and exactly what it means? I'd like to speak with you, ma. If you can stand up, ma. Let's start with your name, ma.
Okay. My name is Omoluabi Elizabeth.
Okay. What was today's walk for?
We walk and as a walk to work live for today, and we are an Amber flag bearer, and we walk from one place to another, and many people came out. We talk for many people about how to vote for his incoming governor.
All right. Thank you very much, ma. Let me quickly hear your own opinion, sir. I know you took the walk from Ayetoro to this place this morning, and you will speak in Yoruba, as you've told me earlier. I would interpret in English. What exactly is APC offering? Kí ni nǹkan tí APC sọ pé àwọn fẹ́ ṣe tó yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan tí àwọn tó kù sọ pé àwọn máa ṣe fáráàlú?
Tí APC fẹ́ ṣe ó pọ̀ gan, torí ní inú ìjọba tí a wà, ìjọba tó yẹ pé ó mú ìtẹ́lọ́rùn àti àǹfààní tó pọ̀ wá fáwọn èèyàn wa ni. Kò ṣe ká ṣe títì lásán ní nǹkan tí a fẹ́ jẹ, but àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ kan mélòó wà tó yẹ pé ó yá ju ká ṣe títì lọ. Inú ẹ̀ kò sí empowerment fáwọn ọ̀dọ́, kò sí kankan. Àwọn tá a fẹ́ kí gómìnà wa ṣe pé wọ́n sì fi agbá àwọn máa ṣe ni pé láti empowerment àwọn ọ̀dọ́ dáadáa.
Okay. Lákòótán, ìrìn tẹ̀rìn lénìí, kí ni ìdí tẹ́ ṣe rìnrìn yẹn?
Èdè tá a ti rìn pé a fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wa kí wọ́n jáde ní yanturu láti dìbò fún incoming governor à ń bọ̀, torí pé àǹfààní tó pọ̀ ó wà ń bẹ̀ láti kí wọ́n rí wa pé yes o gbogbo wa la support o incoming governor wa à ń bọ̀.
According to him, the reason why they took the walk is to show political strength and, of course, support for the APC party. And he also mentioned, because I asked the pertinent question, that what exactly is APC offering that other parties are not offering, and why are they pushing more for the party candidates to become the one who sits on power in Osun State? And he mentioned that it's not just about doing roads, it's not just about making roads. More of empowerment is what they are putting on the table for the people of Osun residents. These are more other things are some of the conversations we've been having with residents in Osun State. But of course, these ones are party members. The other residents are quite open to more suggestions, such as integrity, such as balance, and of course employment as one of the things he has also mentioned as one of the things they want whoever will eventually sit in power to offer to the people. But for now, the activities have wound off here at the APC campaign house. Tomorrow is going to be the mega rally of the APC. We've also gotten information that Accord has stepped down its mega rally that was supposed to hold today. We don't know why, and we've not been able to reach appropriate quarters to get more information. But for now, we can tell you that the walk for victory by the APC Renewed Hope ambassadors for this morning has ended.
Orator Igbaleni Omoni there in Osogbo, and he spoke with a party member, but he also did say that the residents of the states, the citizens of the state, are more concerned about things like accountability, integrity, and especially employment. So they're not really particularly concerned about the drama that is going on with the elections. They just want better governance. Thank you so much, Igbaleni Omoni. We will definitely be hearing from Ni and a lot of other correspondents who are in Osun State. And come Saturday, News Central will still be giving you the update on the elections as it unfolds. We're still staying in Osun State. The governorship election draws closer. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said that preparations are underway to ensure a free, fair and credible election. The Voters Education and Publicity Officer in Osun State, Rufus Ario, confirmed that distribution of sensitive materials to local government will start tomorrow. News Central's Omolola Olalade now joins us from the INEC office in Osogbo to give us an update. Omolola, we have just spoken to Ni, and he's expressed the concerns of some of the citizens and party members. But let's talk about INEC's level of preparedness. You are currently at the INEC office. Can you tell us what's happening there, gauging their level of preparedness for the elections come Saturday?
Yes, blessings. As you well know that all eyes are on Osun, like I said earlier, and then presently I'm at the INEC office here in Osogbo, where there have been a lot of preparations towards Saturday's election. And, from what I've gathered here, because we've been here since about 8 a.m. this morning, there's been one meeting or the other with different security parastatals. Have seen, people from top officials, rather, from the police officials, from the army, and even, the NBA chairman just, arrived now. So it's been different meetings to ensure that they have a free, fair and credible election, the collaborations with all these security agencies. However, I have with me the voters, the voter education and publicity official who will be shedding more light as to how preparation is here in Osun State when on the part of INEC. Good afternoon, sir. Let's talk about preparation. You mentioned earlier this morning that a lot is going on towards preparation, especially the distribution of sensitive materials and all of that. When is that starting and how is it going, sir?
Sensitive material is going to be collected tomorrow at the CBN. Onward to the local government when it was collected tomorrow. So then it will be badged to RA and PU accordingly.
Like I asked them this morning, in terms of movement, have there been concrete arrangement to ensure that, voting materials arrive polling unit early enough to avoid delays?
The commission had an MOU with the Road Transport Union and NATO. So there have been a kind of series of meetings all this while, and they have assured us of their, of their perfect arrangement. So also there's going to be a kind of a situation room for them tomorrow here at the state office. So they are going to be monitoring their personnel in the field, and also we here as a commission we are going to track every vehicle that we are deploying to the field. So there can't be any delay. There can't be any hindrance concerning the transportation of material and men.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. Finally, let's talk about the issue about 31 members of the APC carry members being on the list of the polling, poll officials. Can you shed more light on that? Because we want to ensure that INEC is non-partisan and, that would not affect the election or impact.
Thank you very much. I told you before that is a kind of unfounded allegation, because there is a process of recruitment of our ad hoc personnel. It is through INEC press, and they are well scrutinized before they are engaged. So they are going to subscribe to the oath of neutrality before being engaged. So there is no politician that is among ad hoc personnel at all.
Thank you very much, sir. You've heard it from the voters, education and publicity officials saying that preparations are all set, and tomorrow they will start distribution of sensitive materials to various local governments, and from there they'll take it up that all arrangement with transportation and every other thing is put in place. It's back to you in the studio.
All right, Omolola Olade there, giving us an update and a look into the level of preparation that INEC has been able to achieve in terms of the preparation for Osun State elections. Now going to further stories, we will still be taking a look at Osun State. Yiaga Africa has tasked journalists to monitor the Osun State governorship election results uploading process and help guard against the bulk uploading of results. This was during a training in Osogbo where the pre-democracy group trained newsmen on election monitoring following concerns raised from the recently held Ekiti election, where hundreds of results reportedly appeared on the INEC IREF portal. The group urged participants to verify results through the prescribed process and ensure that results transmitted from polling units are consistent with what appears on the IREF portal in a bid to ensure that there are no conflicting figures with those from the polling units. News Central's Mercy Babajide joins us now to give us more update. Mercy, what is the update on this particular gathering? Now, we know how important it is to have education on the voting that is coming up. And this time around, we're looking at the online portals and how that can translate into better governance at the end of the day. So give us an update on what the conversations are around this.
Well, hello, Blessings. Away from political parties and INEC, we would agree, everybody would agree with me that we cannot have an election without election observers. But then that's not the catch. We are live in Osogbo, where we are the election observation hub. And today we had the full session with the Yiaga Africa on election results management. But I wouldn't be speaking too much, especially given the fact that they spoke with journalists. And with me is Mr. Timothy, who would be briefing us on what this lecture, or rather what this academy was about. Good afternoon, Mr. Timothy.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here this morning.
Okay, all right. You've heard everything Samson Ithodo said with Yiaga Africa Board. I would like to get your own observation, given that you are the program manager for Semesco.
Thank you very much. Well, basically today's intervention is hosted by our colleague, Yiaga Africa, and a very reputable partner of the EUSGN, provides support to electoral management body, and we work together as a cohort. Today's intervention is spot on and very fundamental. It's within the larger framework of what we do in the media component level, where we build the capacity of journalists, strengthen them. Much has been done extensively within the last 4 months. Within the last 5 weeks in Osun State, we've built their capacity on civil voter education. But today's intervention, I want to talk on some other things we have done at the component level for the media in particular. But the beautiful thing and fundamental thing about today's engagement basically is that a very fundamental aspect of this election coverage is what was addressed today, which is the election management, which is the result management, as it were. And then, since we have the new electoral act, we are trying to see that we engage that all opacity surrounding election management, result management is really peeled off. And that's why today's conversation is very fundamental. Journalists have been trained on what to know in terms of steps. We have the new electoral act talks about beavers, talk about portal, talk about how results will be transmitted. For journalists who are at the center of this, in terms of having robust understanding of their reporting, what to look for, step by step, stage by stage, it is fundamentally a training in clarity that enable them to know that this is what we should report. And the bottom line is to ensure that this result or this election it has legitimacy, there is credibility. And so, if you have engaged the people at different fora, and now we are moving close to the election, journalists that we have the burden to fulfill that aspect of the Constitution, which is to inform, which is to educate, must know what the Electoral Act is saying and how it's going to play out, because Osun State is the second state after the new Electoral Act has been passed. It has been texted in Ekiti. But the dynamics of Osun election is going to be different, and it's an area that we need to pay attention to.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Timothy. Part of the focal points and what is changed with the Electoral Act 2026 is the transmission is now compulsory. IREV becomes legal record, and a second direct transmission. Now let's move over to Stefan of ERAD, who is going to speak in the next 1 minute about what his observations are for this election.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy, for having me. So about this elections in Osun, I come from the angle of the ERAD, which is the Election Result Analysis Dashboard. This is a platform that provides an opportunity for citizens, for the media, for politicians, every stakeholder in this electoral space to be able to consume the records that come from the IREV portal. The IREV portal, as you know, is where the from EC8A results from the polling units are being transmitted to the IREV portal. So from the IREV portal, ERAD gets that data, and that data is checked and then crunched so that citizens and every stakeholder can be able to consume that data in a way that is, fast and real time. Of course, there are aspects of, flaggings where there are discrepancies. Citizens can be able to see that. The media can be able to see that. Also, the IREV monitoring. We monitor the IREV, for performance and transparency. Basically, just monitoring the entire process to see that there's transparency. Yes.
Well, you read directly from the conveners of this program. Basically, all we had today was to enlighten journalists on what to expect when it comes to election. And noting that we have 385 hotspots in Osun. Well, we're still like a few days away before the election. And let's see what more we have. Over to you in the studio.
All right, Mercy Babajide there with the update on the IREV portal and the conversations around taking the voting online and how this can help people trust the system even more. You're live with us on the 12 Report. We go on a break now. When we come back, we've got more stories. Don't go anywhere. Glad you're still with us. Now, flight operations have resumed at the local wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, after aviation unions disrupted services on Tuesday. The industrial action affected flights at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos, leaving hundreds of passengers stranded. The picketing was jointly carried out by NUATE, ATSEN and NAPI over grievances. Checks at the General Aviation Terminal of the Murtala Mohammed Airport on Tuesday evening showed that affected airlines had resumed flight operations, allowing passengers to continue their journeys after the disruption. News Central's Israel Ifarobo is currently at the MM1 and now joins us for an update. Israel, yesterday was chaotic. I saw the videos, and one thing that I just kept saying to myself was glad I don't have any flights scheduled for that day. What is the update on this disruption? We hear that the situation has now calmed down. Are the flights now going? Have they resumed?
Right now, there is a flight that is taking off here at the MM1. We can't get visuals of that right now, but yes, there are flights taking off here at the MM1 of the domestic wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport here in Lagos. This was not the case yesterday when this terminal here was picketed by the unions here, and their demands were the fact that they are not allowing their workers to unionize, and also the ticket sales charge, 5% ticket sales charge, that is part of the amount paid by those traveling. That particular amount of money goes to the airlines. It is meant to return one way or the other to the NCAA and other agencies for proper running operations of these airlines. So these is of these agencies. So this is two of the reasons why this terminal was picketed, and this airline was picketed yesterday by the unions. Yes, you were correct. It was chaotic yesterday. Flights were disrupted. People were here since 5 a.m. yesterday, and they couldn't get to their destinations early yesterday. But the situation later turned around much later in the evening when the unions and those authorities came to some sort of agreement that we are not privy to for now. But what we can now report is the fact that normalcy has now returned to the local wing here of the Murtala Mohammed Airport. Flight operations have resumed. We do have people coming in from Lagos and Abuja. Two of the airport that we understand were affected yesterday during the picketing by the union. So yes, operations are back in full gear here at the MM1. Blessings.
Before we let you go, I wanted to speak quickly on a footage that also made the rounds on social media, and that is one of the airline operators. We saw that they still continued their flight operations without disruptions, and it felt like they were attacked. And we expect that these activities or actions should be voluntary. Can you speak to that very quickly before we let you go?
Okay, well, there were lots of issues that happened yesterday. One of them is just what you just pointed out. Not all airlines were disrupted yesterday. If you boarded some particular airlines yesterday, I'm quite sure you would have gotten to your destination. But they only, picketed Air Peace Airlines yesterday. That was the airline whose operations were indeed affected majorly yesterday. For others, they were allowed to go about their normal businesses. There are lots of terminals here, counters as well for different airlines. They were not disturbed yesterday, and so it was only for Air Peace that had the issues. And we understand that the issues, goes beyond the fact that Air Peace didn't go ahead. This particular airline didn't go ahead to honor an invitation that was placed before them by the Minister of Aviation, Mr. Festus Keyamo, for dialogue and for conversations regarding this TSA charge that they are talking about, and of course the fact that their workers have not been allowed to unionize. I did speak with the grounds operations manager of this particular airline yesterday, and he did say that the workers for his airline have said categorically that they do not want any union. And so that is where we are right now in terms of that particular issue. But in terms of operations here at the airport, everything is ongoing. But one particular incident that happened yesterday that no one has really talked about is the fact that we understand allegedly that a particular bus, was driven onto the runway, and how true that is or not, we'll try to find out. But we did read from online, and that nothing of such happened, and if it happened, that particular driver will be brought to book. So these are some of the issues surrounding the flight disruption that we experienced here at the MM1 yesterday. But those disruptions are now a thing of the past right now, as operations are up and running. Blessings.
Thank you so much, Israel Iferable, for the update on that. Still talking about the disruptions, Stephen Enoch is on standby at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport with the update from his end. Stephen Enoch, can you give us an update on what happened from the disruptions leading up to now, and have the flights resumed their operations, or are we still having troubles with that?
Airport. They told me that the flight disruption in Lagos and Abuja did not affect any of their activities here in Kano. And then when I told them to come to me on camera, they refused. They said they don't have the permission to speak with me on camera. They also said I tried to, seek for permission to speak with some of the passengers who were on boarding at that time, and they told me that they would not allow me to speak with their passengers. They also told me that I couldn't do any interview or do anything around the airport. Currently, around 300 away from the airport is just down here. And they told me to stay far away from the airport before I can do anything. And they said nothing affected them, and they're okay. Although, when I was going out, I asked a particular security operative that told me that a particular union leader was complaining bitterly about the flight cancellations that happened in Lagos and Abuja. Because, of course, if something like that happens in Lagos and Abuja, people who might want to come to Kano might be affected. But the authority here, that is from the Public Affairs Department, they said nothing of such affected them. Everything is going fine. Okay, but I had a contrary comment from the security official who told me that the leader was talking about it. So that right now in Kano, and of course, everything is going on fine in the airport. They are arriving, and they are also departing to different parts of the country. It's over to you, the studio. Blessing.
All right, Stephen Enoch there in Kano, giving us an update from his end regarding flight disruptions. Now, Abuashwa community in Guma local government area of Benue State has been deserted following a recent attack that left 4 people dead and 6 others injured. Residents say suspected armed herders have been lingering in the area, allegedly destroying farmlands and attacking members of the community. Following the latest attack, residents fled their homes and sought safety in Wajimba, the Guma local government headquarters. News Central's correspondent Sewese Anyo visited the community and now brings us this update. Sewese, can you tell us more about what you saw when you visited this community? We hear that it's now deserted because of the fear of the consistent attacks that has been plaguing that area. Talk to us about that very quickly.
Okay, thank you. We were in our community, and I can tell you that the entire community tells a story of absolute devastation, where many of the community members are now displaced and we do not even have a place to stay. In fact, when we drove into that community, we discovered that we met nobody on the ground, and we just said, okay, let's just put ourselves together and get to work. And so while we're working, it happened that about 2 elderly persons came out of the bush somewhere, and they said they had been observing us to see if we were trouble or safety, and before they could come out to reveal themselves to us. So we said, okay, we are journalists, and this is why we are here. We've heard about an attack in this community, but we've not even seen the proof that something happened. We don't have the videos, we don't have the vision. So we are here to see things for ourselves. And they said, yeah, so they began to speak with us. So the elders took us around the entire community, and we saw the ruins, we saw a lot of fresh graves of their loved ones that had been buried. And in one of the compounds that we went into, they told us that the man of the house and his son were killed in that same night. And so they were buried in the grave, side by side. And we went to another location where a man and his daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, was also killed. And they were buried in the same grave. And so many other instances. But no single person was still living in that community. And when we tried to find out, so far, since the attacks happened, we have to work in the weekend. And then we said, as the security members come, and we said, no, they usually come in the morning to patrol and they return back to base. So when they leave, the headers come back. As a matter of fact, when we were in that community, we noticed the headers coming from a distance towards our location. And the members that followed us into the community said, you people should wrap up, because they are coming. So we had to quickly do what we could do. But I can tell you that we went into the housing, most of the rooms are thatch houses because they are mostly farmers. So they go there to farm. So right now they are back to Bajima, which is the headquarters of the Remark, and they usually go out in the morning to quickly farm because they do not have any other source of living outside farming. So but what we know is that out of the devastation, 4 people have been confirmed killed. 2 children and 2 adults, and then 6 others injured, and they were hospitalized. However, they have been discharged. And we went to one of the houses for some of the injured, and we spoke with them, and it was really devastating to see that a child of less than 15 was shot in the legs. So 2 of her legs are currently immovable. She cannot move with those legs. Whenever she wants to eat her, she has to carry to go, and she got sick. Then a woman who spoke to her happens to be a widow to one of the persons that was killed with her son. So she is really devastated. So it was a really devastating situation. And then coming back to Bajima town, where some of them were taking refuge, we spoke with the community leader of that community, and he told us that security has not really been active. Okay. And they are the ones who realize and pay for them to protect their community.
All right, apologies for interrupting, but unfortunately we have to go. Thank you so much for the update. It's a quite sad situation that these people have to evacuate their homes and, stay in hiding because of the fear of the attacks. But News Central will still be on top of this matter and give you all the updates necessary. Now, 10 police officers and 2 civilians have been killed during a gun battle with suspected bandits in a Sakaba local government area of Kebbi State. Police, while speaking to newsmen on Wednesday, said the clash occurred on Monday along the Rafil Makuku axis, where security operatives intercepted the armed group moving between Kebbi and Zamfara. At least 17 suspected bandits were reportedly neutralized, while 4 motorcycles belonging to the attackers were burned. 2 officers were injured and are receiving treatment. Additional security personnel have been deployed as operations continue to track fleeing suspects. Journalists, civil society organizations and labor unions have converged on Abuja for a one-day multi-stakeholder dialogue on strengthening whistleblower protection, civic space and accountability in Nigeria. The meeting seeks to advocate for accountable governance systems and strengthening trade union and civil society action against kleptocracy and illicit financial flows. Organizers say the engagement has become necessary as the prosperity of Nigerians, especially workers, continues to be eroded by resource leakages, corruption, and ineffective governance. We are now joined by our correspondent Joshua Imarai, who is live at the venue of this convergence. Joshua, this is a very important conversation, especially whistleblower protections and civil rights. What more have we learned from this engagement? Can you give us an idea of what the deliberations have been like?
Well, good afternoon to you, Blessings. You can imagine the shocks on the faces of Nigerians when they learned about the PFIPC scandal, how a purported government agency was granted billions of naira for something that does not exist. So this is what civil society organizations, labor union, as well as journalists are actually advocating for. And here in Abuja, we are seeing a convergence of like-minded individuals who are raising the alarm, saying that we need stronger laws for whistleblowers so as to ensure that activities like this does not go unnoticed. We have somebody from the ITUC Africa in the person of Hakato Odigye. Please come forward, sir, who will give us what he thinks. So now look at Africa, look at Nigeria. Do you think we have stronger laws to encourage whistleblowers? What do you think?
First is that yes, the laws are not so inadequate. They are not adequate, so to say. They are not adequate, and they are not widely spread. You don't have laws that protect whistleblowers across the continent fairly widely. You have bits and pieces of it, mostly in Anglophone Africa. The Francophone and the Lusophone are still to catch up with that, but largely it's not the absence really of whistleblowing laws. It's the absence of the general weakness of the practice and the culture of the rule of law.
Now, let's talk about this convergence. What has formed the need for this convergence, and what are we seeing that we emanate from this convergence?
Okay, well, for this meeting, the important thing is that people need to really talk and put these ideas that can work on the table. And we are seeing that. And then on the continent, there is also a need for a convergence. We need to come together. We need to come close. First, the question is, why are we even concerned about kleptocracy and corruption and all of that? It is because it has remained, unfortunately, an endemic problem on our continent. Of course, we know that it's not exclusive to Africa, but the fact that we are where we are, I mean, Africa has remained the global development dilemma, is partly the analysis that shows that corruption still continues to find comfort on our continent, and we need to make our continent uncomfortable for corruption. And in doing this, we need laws, we need practices, we need vigilance of the people, we need citizens' activism and participation in the process. I go back to the root cause of the problem, and I hear you talk about the case of a so-called fake agency. As far as I'm concerned, of course, I work for African workers on the continent. What I see that is a problem, this agency is not fake. It's true what the layers of the thing that have passed through it does not show what is fake. And this is the absence of the rule of law. How do you investigate? Is it the guy you are investigating or the people who have enabled the process? First, let's look at it. This same guy should have been considered first a whistleblower because he complained about sharing formula. And he has complained about a certain person as asking more, only from that quarter to come out and say, no, this agency in the first place does not even exist. That is their defense against this allegation of whistleblowing. What do you expect in a society where the rule of law holds sway is that the parties, both parties should be investigated. You can't use government machinery to be defending one guy. You the same government machinery to be defaming the allegedly whistleblowers. Public opinion will say, if the sharing formula was good, we will not hear it. But this is again is also part of the whistleblowing practice, that sometimes discontent from actors will say, let the bubble burst. But when there are rules for guiding, governing the arrangement, these things will work. But our problem is the fact that the rule of law is continuously is made mockery of. This is what we see.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So you just heard from Mr. Akhato, DG of the ITUC Africa, and he's saying that the rule of law must be strengthened, mechanisms to check if we have adequate protection of whistleblowers, just in the case of Mr. DME of the alleged PFIPC, who was actually arrested and the case currently in court. So this is the summation of this conversation, and Nigeria, as well as Africa, must unite to fight corruption.
All right, Joshua Marai there with the update on combating corruption and the conversations being had. You're still live with us on the 12 Report. We go on yet another quick break, and when we come back, we've got more stories. Stay with us. Now to education. Stakeholders in Nigeria's basic education sector have gathered in Asaba, the Delta State capital, with a sharp focus on transforming capital investments into tangible, measurable learning outcomes. The event is a 30th quarterly meeting of the management of the Universal Basic Education Commission, UBEC, alongside the executive chairman of the various state Universal Basic Education Boards, SOBEB. Our correspondent Austin Azu is standing by live in Asaba with the details from the event. Austin, can you give us more on this event? We know that when it comes to education, eyebrows are raised because that's literally how the future of tomorrow, which is the youth of Nigeria, are formed. So what's the update?
All right, Blessing, if you will agree with me that education remains the bedrock of every society, and hence this 30th quarterly meeting of UBEC and SUBEB is currently holding here in Delta State. The theme is repositioning basic education in Nigeria to optimize investment and impact. For the worth of time, the event was declared open yesterday by the state government, and as we speak at the moment, they are currently on interactive session, brainstorming on how to improve the curriculum of our basic education. We have the chairman of the Delta State SUBEB here to talk to us, Samuel Marere, to bring us to speed. Good to meet you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Okay, just take us through. How's the session been like?
Well, first session is on, so we have to be very low. The session has been very expository. I can't be louder than this because you see that the sun is going on. You agree with me that the section has been very expository. You've been filtering in and out. A lot of policies, a lot of things are being reviewed because this is the highest body where issues concerning basic education is taken. We look at the policies presented by the federal government and the state ministries, and we look at the implementation because this is the body that implements basic education law in the country. That has been very expository. We have done a lot, and you can see we are still going on and on. By the grace of God, it will be a success. And we've done much. Before the schools reopen, we have been able to iron out so many issues. It has been a very wonderful section in Delta today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. For the worth of time, we ought to have proceeded on this. However, it's expected that at the end of this meeting, the policy formulated from this hall will be translated into various working activities to improve our curriculum activities at the basic educational level. So back to you in the studio.
All right, Austin Azu there with the update on education and the conversations that are being had around that. And to foreign stories, over 200 people have been killed after a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck western Colombia, with rescue and safety teams still struggling to reach communities near the epicenter. We're now joined by News Central senior international correspondent and anchor Afia Hagen, who is giving us an update on this. Afia, first, can you bring us up to speed? What's the latest on the death toll, the missing and the search for the survivors this morning?
Death toll, and that appears to be a confusing point at the moment. There's still real significant confusion over the numbers. That in itself tells us how difficult the rescue operation is. So President Adelardo de la Espriela's latest official national figure is at least 181 people killed, 2,595 injured, and 195 missing. However, local authorities are putting the death toll substantially higher, at potentially 254. with 101 deaths in the suburb of Piera and 95 in Cali. Also, civilian-run agencies are saying that the number of unaccounted for could be far higher than officially estimated. It could be about 4,000 people. So I think what this tells us is how difficult the rescue operation is. It's still very much active. Teams working through the night to try and remove concrete and debris and listening very carefully for signs of life. They have had some remarkable rescues. You had a baby brought through a gap in a collapsed structure and a woman carried alive from rubble in Cali. But now we're getting to sort of 48 hours to 72 hours after the operation. The first 48 to 72 hours are essential. They're the critical window for finding survivors. Beyond 72 hours, people who haven't had access to air and water, statistically, the chances of their survival falls as every hour passes.
Orator, News Central Senior International Correspondent and anchor Afia Hagan giving us an update on the devastating Colombian earthquake that has left so many families displaced and unfortunately a certain amount of persons also dead. Thank you, Afia. Well, that's all on the 12 Report today. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen because we want to see what you see. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Osugun.